Hello everyone, welcome back to FPL Jedi Show. This is Gameweek 28 preview. My name is Hafiz and would like to welcome Azmin to the stream. How are you, brother?
I'm good. I'm good. This time around, the extended break doesn't seem so long. Maybe because we're all occupied, we've got a lot of other things to do. So, but I guess the nightmare of the FA Cup rounds has been quite a fun roller coaster for most of us, and probably a nightmare disaster for some of us, depending on your teams. But yeah, let's see what we can do to fix it.
All right, good stuff. Would like to welcome, I think Brandon also in the stream. Hi, boss. How are you? We are ready for 28 for sure, and we will discuss definitely. I think the two talking points for this week will be, I think people are looking at replacement when talking about Mateta and Cunha. As you know, we will touch on the FA Cup results and what's the conundrum or the permutation after that FA Cup results. And we can see also the FA Cup draw for the quarter final. And then we will also look at the spectrum of the fixture, the whole 28 now until the end of the season. We just want to talk about um, the fixture, the double game week, the blank game week, and we'll talk about a little bit on the chip strategy. And you can see Azmin is high flying right now at 36k. Well done for sure. Myself a bit down in the rank, down to 1.9 million, slight below in terms of the, but it is what it is. So keep go ahead, Azmin, in terms of your rank. We will definitely support you. Hopefully, you're gonna reach that 10k holy grail that people are talking about, man.
Well, I try not to think too hard about it, but it is in my mind, and but I think this has actually been the in any FPL I played. This may well be the highest I've ever hit during a season. So hopefully by the end of the season, I'll be at least this rank, if not higher. So yeah, let's see how we go. Just need to maintain calm and remember my philosophy from the start of the season.
All right, great stuff. Would also like to take opportunity. I think this is the first week that Ramadan month is coming, so fasting month for us men and also for the Muslim brothers and sisters. So it's definitely a hectic month. Despite the fasting month, we are still very much into the FPL mode, and definitely we
Yep.
want to address the 28, the 29, and after that will be international break, and then the last 10 matches of the season. Pretty excited, and we want to go end of the season with the bank, definitely. So before we touch into the talking point, man, quickly on how we did in game week 27. Is it that far away? But we still can recall some of the matches.
Yep.
I scored 55 points. You scored an excellent 174 points. The average point was 53. So you definitely above in terms of the average point, maybe 20 points more than the average. And you can see, if I may say, the two players that made a success week for you is Mr. Soboslai and your transfer in Mr. Neto from Chelsea. Can you just talk to a bit about your team?
Well, firstly, okay, Soboslai, who I've had since the double game weeks, so I'm glad to see him returning. So that's great, and of course Neto. So Neto after the previous weekend where he played out of position as he was the player further forward, and he did get an assist, I think, but he still lost that game. But I saw the highlights, and the formation definitely looked promising, even though they lost 2-1 to Brighton. Neto contributed the assist to, I can't remember who it was that scored. Maybe you can remember. But it was enough. Enzo Fernandez. Enzo Fernandez scored. So, but that formation was enough for me to really take a close look, especially because the two Chelsea games were against Southampton and Leicester. So And yep, so it was great for this for the first game week I got him in. It's always nice when a player who you transfer in for any particular week immediately do well. So I was very happy to see Neto score and assist. And but at the same time, Onkunku, who I had ruled out, he did slightly better because he got the bonus, and Neto doesn't actually have a bonus there. That's the funny bit. But that is the reason for that is because of the defenders scoring, which is both Cucurella and Colwill
Yep.
hogging all the bonus points. So those who do have that, credit to them. Of course, we all have Palmer who blanked, so it was not a big deal. Because of course, the captaincy was an issue, but in the end, Salah didn't do much either. So yeah, he did get assist, but that was about it. So not much difference really. So other than that, TAA continues to deliver. Gabriel, of course, a clean sheet in a 0-0 draw with Forest. Clivert scoring despite losing and making off with the 3 bonus points. That's lovely too. It's always lovely to see as well. And most of us had Isaac, and he was absent. He disappeared. So for me, I had my bench as Juan Pedro. So another stroke of luck for me. Worked well. Unfortunately, I was one of those who had Cunha, who blanked, and now he's not going to be able to play. And in a way, just looking for the silver lining is that at least he didn't get himself sent off in a Premier League game. Then there'd be 50 points. At least now the worst case scenario right now is we transfer him out. Yeah. So Alt Nuri, of course, was in the losing side for Wolves, and Flecken, who I thought I actually look at what, because I was watching this match with Everton. I was thinking, they might just have a chance at a clean sheet here, but not. Unfortunately, they still conceded. He did get an extra point for the save point. So on my bench, we had Sells, who kept a clean sheet against against Arsenal, who totally did not expect that to happen. So yeah. Robinson, I seem to have gotten the knack of figuring out when to bench Robinson lately. So hopefully we'll see, because this week I think is another dilemma. But unfortunately, Guardiol, and on hindsight, I realized I never considered playing Guardiol instead of Nuri, and I'm trying to figure out why, because I wonder if whether that was just a bit of a overconfidence with Wolves assets that plugged me, because looking back, no, Guardiol would have always been the better choice over Nuri. Why did I do that? So that may have been the one mistake that I felt I should have done better.
All right. I think pretty much 70 points will definitely take that. Okay, I will take that. Okay.
Yep.
And I think our team similar. Just talk to a bit in terms of my team. I captain Palmer, man. You captain Salah. So when Palmer blank against Southampton, so definitely I'm waiting anxiously in terms of how the outcome from that Liverpool versus Man City match. Liverpool did win, but Salah only produced and assist, no bonus point. So 3 points more, whoever captain Salah. So I might get away from it. But this could also means that if you're thinking about captaining Palmer, later we touch on the captain pick for 28 now. Do you still want to go there after that? Palmer did not produce any attack return this week. I think that will be a decision that people will make this week. And then at the same time, for Isaac absent, I got Rogers in. So nice, at least 7 points of my bench. You got Pedro, 8 points. Some people has those players coming in. Most of the managers had Rogers and Pedro coming in. But if you have someone like, I think my Kolenko also, like have 6 points and assists, and also 1 bonus point. No clean sheet against Everton because they played against Brentford 1-1. But still 6 points for Michaelenko. Will definitely people will take. I will take if they say I can replace that Michaelenko over Robinson, who only sub in second half and yellow carded because
Definitely.
Fulham decided to rest some players for the F Cup matches against Manchester United. I didn't see that. Okay, I didn't foresee that, and it is what it is. And the near Arsenal against Forest, really nice because I have Gabriel and Sales in my team, so definitely I welcome that. But it also means that Wood blank. It maybe um, not so much in terms of blanking because Woods has been producing taken returns, but definitely that could be one of the replacement that people are looking at. Later we touch on the Cunha. I brought bringing in Cunha last week, and like offline we discussed. Unluckily for me, Cunha only produced 2 points, and now I have to deal with him. And we shall see what my team will be for this week.
Yeah,
So
I'm sorry, man. I never really talked to you about the dangers of having Cunha in your team and the need to be a bit very, yeah. But who would have thought this would happen? It's so frustrating, especially for those like yourself who brought him in who only just brought him in. For me, not so
if
bad
I'm
because
if
I
I'm right,
already,
he's the most transfer in last week, right? So yeah, pretty much
yeah,
become our
that's
only.
that curse strikes again big time. Not just blanking, but it didn't blank, but disappeared, making it hard because most of us, we really need to save on our transfers, and this doesn't help.
All right, let's look at what happened during the FA Cup matches. I think this is also an important thing that we just want to highlight. Okay, Azmi can touch later on
Sure.
the permutation of FA Cup. Before we look at the overall, just zoom in for this FA Cup quarterfinal draw and the impact for Game Week 34. Because Game Week 34 will be the matches that we expect the FA Cup semi-final, and whoever has gone out from these FA Cup matches, they will have fixture on that. So turns out, the can I say the most important result was Newcastle, because Newcastle has now out from the FA Cup. They lost to 1-2 against Brighton after the
Yes.
extra time, and that means that when we thought that we could have a
A
double
double
right
double. Yes.
for
Correct.
Newcastle, I don't think it will be on the card right now, because they are out from the FA Cup, and you can see that the below is from Ben Crellin, Fantasy Football Hub. Definitely, he's the guru Sifu in terms of talking about
Fixtures.
the planning of FPL, and you can see that Newcastle and Ipswich match in game week 34 now will be on, and the other matches are Wolves versus Leicester, because Wolves also out from the FA Cup losing to Bournemouth, and then Chelsea and Everton, because both has got out from the FA Cup. Also, the same story for Liverpool and Spurs. Okay, so those 4 matches has been confirmed in 34. And other result is, if you can see from the FA Cup quarterfinal, Fulham versus Palace, Preston versus Villa, the only championship side against Villa, Bournemouth versus Man City, and Brighton versus Forest. Now is Forest confirmed because it is out now. And you can see up there 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 matches: City versus Villa, Brighton versus West Ham, Southampton versus Fulham, Arsenal versus Palace, Bournemouth versus United, and Forest versus Brentford. Potentially 2 other matches will also be on for game week 34. It's just matter of whether Brighton match or the Forest match will be one of them, and then the other one, Fulham or Palace, because one of them will be out from the competition. So I can fairly say 6 matches is confirmed. The only complication will be on the Man City game against Bournemouth. The situation will be is if let's say Bournemouth wins against City, but if let's say Villa also win that match, the City game will be off. So I can fairly say 6 match is confirmed, but it could go up to 7. So main, maybe your thoughts in terms of game week 34. It is still way far, okay, but it is still something that we want to talk about. I mean.
Yeah, so it's really, not everything's decided yet. We still won't know yet. We'll have to wait a bit more. So it does raise a issue with those of us who are looking to use your wildcard. So there's a lot of decisions like in terms of wildcard 31, and then we may not know, or depending on when they announce it, in terms of what happens at game week 34. So it's a bit tough, that one. So we're still a ways, okay, because right now right now, main mission is to navigate through the game week 29 first, and after that, the FA Cup, and then they start to come in and really decide on what's rest. But the good thing is for those who let's say if you don't have a wild card, looking forward, at least you know that the matches that will happen, Newcastle, Ipswich, Wolves, Leicester, Chelsea, Everton, all that is already confirmed. So you can manage your way again, especially you don't have any chips left. The other factor is that we need to take into account is for those who are looking to use the AM chip. So the AM chip again, that's very tricky, and the best way for me, the way I look at using the AM chip is, again, you maintain try to save transfers to be able to use, because the fixtures can go, how the fixtures can turn out can be really different, and you may not be able to get a good team that goes through 3 matches in a row having just good matches. You may have to move around. So other than that, in terms of the FA Cup quarterfinals, that Bournemouth Manchester City, it could be a potential banana skin for Manchester City. Bournemouth at home always do well, and we know Bournemouth. To be fair, they haven't been doing quite as well recently, but they still have that potential and can do well. But at the same time, City do seem to have stepped up a bit. Yeah. So all I can say is wait. Right now we get to game week 28 first, but always have it in mind. But whatever you transfers, you need to decide how long your transfers are expected to be in terms of when you activate your wildcard. Because if you're just going to transfer because you're going to wildcard in 30 or 31, then it's not so bad. But if your wildcard is going to go on a bit further longer, let's say in game week 33, with the intention of maybe doing your bench put, say, in 36, so those transfers are something you need to decide, whether it's a long term or short term.
Okay, just want to point out, in terms Brandon all mentioned about City versus Villa, can say that we can take it as blank, because some are saying that most likely 96% will blank. I think that could be the possibility, but
that's mainly because Aston Villa's match against Preston North End is kind of expected that Villa is going to win. Although I do wonder with Villa if that CL takes even more of an importance, and then but you're probably right, Brandon. It's probably a given.
And he did mention about Newcastle beside blank in 29, they have kind of good run. Yep, I think we will talk about that in terms of the long run into the season. I just want to mention here, the 4 matches will come in, I think, but this we are zooming into 34. Let's look at the overall picture of what we are having until the end of the day. This really nice visual from Ben Krellin. Okay, I think some of this information I'm still consuming in terms of whether really, but we just want to see, okay, what will happen 28 onwards. Now we already know the Champions League matches happen this midweek, and the 28 will happen this weekend. And after that, the second leg of Champions League will happen during the midweek, before the blank game week 29 will happen. Why? Because the League Cup final, or the Carabao Cup final, Liverpool versus Newcastle, will happen. And in that match, in game week 29, as everyone know, 4 teams will blend, which is Liverpool, Villa, Newcastle, and Crystal Palace. Okay? So that will happen. Then after that, we will take a rest. After a long time, the international break finally happened between 29 and 30. But funny thing is, when the international break is over, we will start off with the quarter-final FA Cup match on that weekend. So it's not the league match. So that would be an interesting one, like we mentioned just now, because the likes of the Fulham, Palace, the Bournemouth, Man City, the matches will happen this week. I think this situation is not that many happen, because normally after international break, the Premier League match will happen. So now the FA Cup will happen, and then we will have a midweek match on 30th, game week 30, and then the 31 game week during that weekend. So then after that, we will have the quarter-final for the European competition, if I'm right, and then sandwich with that game week 32, of which we now know two teams will play double in that game week 32, which is
Yep.
Newcastle and Crystal Palace. So that game week 32 to happen. And then game week 33, potentially, there will be some double game week. This is because the game week 34 semi-final FA Cup match. Because if let's say they some matches there that will blend could play during this midweek match in 33, which is on Tuesday. But there is also potentially people are saying they could also play in game week 34 because it is actually the European competition match semi-final of which they can slot a fixture. So there is potentially that some of the matches that we maybe expect in 34 to blank, they could play in during that midweek. That's what I've been hearing, and I watch everybody who has been discussed in length in terms of how this will happen. And if they say Ben Crowley is in our stream, he definitely deliberate in terms of that. So I just want to point out, 34 blank, yes, 33 double, 35 could potentially double, 36 also can happen double, and you can see that possibility double game week will happen higher than the rest of the week is because on game week 37, mate, we still remember the FA Cup match or final will happen in that weekend. And then during that midweek, we will have Europa League final match, of which when I watch FPL Wire, the result of Spurs and Manchester United, if let's say going forward, they still continue to go deep into that competition, then Premier League might need to take a proactive measure in terms of to set up those matches somewhere earlier than 37, could be a 35, 36. So that is the whole situation that we have now, plenty uncertain in terms of 33 onwards. But what's your say, man, in terms of the overall fixture now until the end of the season?
The thing is, because we're so used to having the game week 37 as that double game week, so now it's the game week 36, and because the FA Cup final previously was after the season ends, then you have the FA Cup final and then the Champions League final. So, but and bearing in mind for this season, we also have the AM chip that we still need to be careful. You don't want to go all the way to game week 36 and then suddenly you realize, I haven't used my AM chip yet, because then you wasted. You got 2 weeks left. But of course, that AM chip could be particularly powerful towards the end of that season. So you get one double game, and then followed by 2 games there. So that'd be great. But of course, who the FA Cup final list is there, then they need to plug where the matches are. So that's something. It's really challenging to keep track. And I confess, while there's a lot of videos out there discussing the permutations, the possibilities, and it's just blowing my mind because I already have this game week 29 headache of trying, if I'm not free hitting, what I'm going to do. But honestly, you do have to at least have some idea of what you want to do, because we don't know your squad can handle currently, because if they're not, then and you are forced to wildcard, let's say after game week 29, you have to fast to wildcard, then you do need to take stock and you do need to look ahead in terms of those fixtures. But the uncertainty is still there. So depends on how much what's your risk appetite for uncertainty. How much uncertainty can you take when coming to the wild card? And especially now when you're looking at the wild card where Haaland is now back in the picture, which is guys like so expensive. But then if you want to pay him, you definitely have to plan it out. And the frustrating thing with game week 30 is where's game week 30? Okay, yeah. So game week 30, the FA Cup quarterfinals, which will happen on the Sunday, that night, on Sunday night, the March 29, the Saturday, the Sunday night, we'll know who it is. Then after that, it's not a long time to the deadline. So that's another problem. Yeah, so you need to really see what you know in terms of the injuries that's happening, and try to find out as much as possible. You don't have much time to plan based on after waiting to see what happens at the FA Cup. So you need to at least have in your mind um,
Mhm.
different permutations or different branches. If this happens, what do you do? So yeah,
Great,
be
great. You
careful.
mentioned about the FA Cup match mean on the quarterfinal because
Yeah,
once the quarterfinal completed, we will know who will advance to the semi-final, which will happen in 34, and then you can know, especially on the 33, what kind of double you could have, or the 34 double you could have. I think that's where you can at least plan a bit 30, 31, 32, and 33 how it will be. But interestingly, nice when you mentioned that deadline time between that weekend and Tuesday deadline is really short when you want to determine. You really need to really
yeah,
up into gear in terms of thinking how's your team will be. If you're thinking of Valkadi in 30, right? So, man,
yeah.
just maybe talk a bit in terms of chip strategy because I'm not
Mhm.
sure about you. You can share your idea what you're looking at. I think what our first hurdle is the 29 because at 29, 14s are blank. How many players that you can fill? I think if you can fill 11 players with your transfer or taking a hit, then you just they in your team to 30, I don't know, 29, 30. Okay, if let's say you're looking at want to wildcard in 31. So for me, I think what I'm gonna do, I just fill up players in 29, not doing anything, and then that in wildcard in 30 or 31, and then 32 potentially people are talking about captaincy, triple captain in that week because Newcastle has opportunity. But the another option that I'm looking at, if let's say you wildcard, maybe that bench boost could happen in somewhere 32 or 33, 32 triple captaincy and 33 bench boost, but I'm not sure how that will be. That what people are talking about, and then
Yeah.
you tackle your triple captaincy, sorry, triple captaincy and bench boost, and your free hit somewhere later because people like us still have those four chips. But if let's say you have a lot of Newcastle, Palace, Liverpool players, then 29 could be an opportunity, a free hit, and then you handle your team accordingly, and then you uh, do your triple captain or maybe your bench pull somewhere there, and before you walk out in 34 or after that 34, and then tackle your team for the last four game weeks of the season. So in terms of your chip strategy, man, what's your in your mind now?
At the moment, I do have enough players to get to 29. So uh, I'm definitely not going to free hit in game week 29. So the question is game week 30, right? The problem with game week 30 is that bloody Manchester City versus Ipswich match. So
Yeah.
so so the, so I only have one free transfer. I'm not going on one transfer, and probably save one transfer, but I'm going to use two transfers in game week 29. But then what happens in game week 30? Because Manchester City play Ipswich, which is obviously the men's, and then trying to figure out people have been planning it, and one way, of course, to do that is of course to wild card it in. Yeah. So those, but of course, again, um, that decision, because coming back to the FA Cup quarterfinals, and will make you change things in terms of how you do your wild card. The problem with the wildcard 30 is that you will not know, even though you know which teams are proceeding from the quarterfinals to the semis of FA Cup. You do not. There's no confirm. There won't be any confirmation yet by the deadline, by the time the deadline hits, as to where exactly those rescheduled matches are. We've got this. We've got the prediction as to where we think it will land, but we won't get any official confirmation. They likely won't be announced when exactly the postponed dates is. That is the challenge. So for me,
Understand.
I need to figure out a way how to deal with that City Ipswich match without using a chip. Most likely at this point in time, game week 22 could be the option for me to wild card. with an idea to bench boost in 33, depending,
Okay. Okay.
or hold off even later the wild card to 34, for example, with a view to bench boost in 36. Again, it's very dependent. That's basically what I'm thinking of lah at the moment.
Okay, okay, okay. So, but can I say means that you are flexible. What's coming, you are prepared for it. Okay, not all in yet. Anything can possible, but at least high level, you're wildcard
Yeah.
early, or you can also wildcard later, right? That is really nice.
I think the fortunate bit is coming down to the fact that I can navigate game week 29 without the free hit. Otherwise, it will, and that will drastically change things. Yeah. So just now we talked about bench boost and wildcard, but free hit, don't know where to slot in yet. But yeah, I'm just happy I still have it to use because of the sheer unpredictability of what's going to happen. Who knows? I might end up using it in game week 38. We don't know. But at the same time, I am relieved that I don't have to worry about the AM chip. I have to say, yeah, because the AM chip would have been a big hassle.
Since you mentioned about AM chip, if let's say someone still have AM chip, where we could advise the best 3 weeks that they can use, it's gonna be tough, right?
Yeah, it's 35, 36, 37, or 36, 37, 38. Especially if you into those, table bonus just looks so much attractive when the Glasners have gotten 19, 20 points, Potters, and the change it can make. So, those who haven't pulled that trigger, now they're definitely not looking to just play the safe, especially when the attempted safe attempt last time was Mateta, who ended up with 0. So yeah, I don't see pushing the AM so quickly right now because there's a lack of really juicy times. So not at the moment. No, the double games will only hit in 33 on 32 onwards. So at the very least, you should look to use a chip there 32 onwards. Your AM chip at the moment.
Yeah, great. I just want to touch because there also conversation in the community because yes, Liverpool is the best team in the league right now, and people want to get triple players from Liverpool. But moving forward, there's potentially no more double game week for Liverpool, and there's other teams who will double like the Newcastle, the Palace, and what's the feeling if let's say there's no double game week potentially for the likes of Liverpool, say you're going Salah, UTA or Gakpo or Szoboszlai that you had, should we still think of tripling out Liverpool players, or we need to be flexible when maneuvering this kind of events?
The thing is, plenty. I mean, I haven't seen that many teams who still have a triple up on Liverpool anymore after the use of the AM chip. I mean, I've seen some content creators like FPL Jedi Batra also contemplating not even having Salah by game week 30 onwards because in terms of the captaincy for Salah, game week 30 onwards, there's no real juicy easy matchup anymore. Yeah, so I mean, just to track across, you got Liverpool, they play Everton. Again, that's a definition wise, people saying that's juicy. It looks pretty juicy to me. But when you have City versus Ipswich there to get your captaincy on, who can resist that one, right? So let's say you don't captain Salah there. Then the next match is Liverpool versus Fulham away, which isn't that great either. Liverpool versus West Ham, okay, not so bad. But then during that week, you also have Chelsea versus Ipswich. So it's also very, very juicy matchup, but not using Salah either. So, that's the thing that we need to decide on where you want to go. So when Liverpool don't have that really attractive matchups, they do have Leicester there in game week 33. But that's about it in terms of the really attractive matchups. So yeah, so that's the dilemmas that you face, and because the problem now is if you want to get Haaland, where's the money gonna come from? It's either Palmer or Salah is the main options. So, but if you are not captaining Salah, that's just justification for you to sell and bring in Haaland.
Talking about not having Salah in our team is really give me shiver. A
Yes.
brave manager, really. I think Jan Betra is different. I think he's brave definitely this season. Well done. He's also getting the point. Especially it's like doing the AM chip, getting Potter in against Arsenal. Can
Oh
you imagine?
yes.
So I think whatever he's doing is doing excellent. So if let's say he thinks that not having Salah, I think maybe for his team he could, but I'm not sure whether I can do it. I'm not sure what you mean.
I'm not sure either. It's not my cup of tea. I'd rather not have Palmer than Salah. But
Yeah.
yeah. But then there is also the question of, is Haaland worth it? Is he going to go back to the last year's highs? Where he's just regularly scoring easy like no one's business. So that's the question that people need to answer for themselves. With the price that because let's not forget his price is a lot more expensive this season.
Yeah.
And but you need to
It still
justify
it
that
still is
price,
the most expensive. Yeah.
yeah, across the rest of your squad.
So I think that's it. But Brandon on did mention about get Omar in or jangan pening getting Haaland. But he could be an option. But we'll
Yes,
discuss that in the forward replacement topic
mm,
later.
okay.
But your initial comment, Omar.
Yeah, Mamush, yes, I like him and I feel that it's a good alternative. Of course, he's still new in the system, so he hasn't, I think there was an interview with Pep where he commented there are some things that we would like him to do that he apparently hasn't done yet, but it's quite promising. Thanks,
All right.
Brandon, for mentioning him.
Good stuff. I think we will definitely revisit this fixture ticker or the layout of the whole fixture for the rest of the season when definitely we know more things, especially from the FA Cup matches. So let's go to the hottest topic. Also, people are talking about is my slide not moving away. Let me. Aha, the best FPL forward replacement. When we talk about Mateta injury, potentially he could be out for a while, and Cunha potentially suspended for 4 matches, right? If I'm right, okay. So this is the last 6 game week in terms of XGI among FPL forwards, and you can see the number one is Mateta, but he's going to be out for a while. The next one, maybe not surprise me in terms of stats. Haaland is up there, 4.01 after Mateta. Cost still high at 14, price 14.7. He go involvement for the past 6 game week is 6, which is nice. Only one below Mateta. Third is Chris Wood, the one that people trying to move away last time, but looks like when Mateta and Cunha are not around, Wood could be the answer if you at the same bracket at 7 million, 7.2 so called. So Chris Wood at 3.98 XGI, number 3. Then the usual suspect also Visa is here because he's the focal point in terms of Brentford attacking. 3.49 there. 2 attacking return, the last 2. Then Cunha, then I said no surprise is up there. But Beto is another name that is creeping up into our mind. And also I'm thinking about Beto because Everton, when talk about return, he has been excellent. I think he scored last week again, and he has returned 5 attacking returns for the past 6 game week. Watkins, but he will blank in 29, not so much. Gakpo, he also will blank, but João Pedro in the list. From this list of forward options, which attracts you? You know what I mean?
I guess it comes down to the timing as to when you want to bring them in, because I'm looking at it and the matchups for this week for most of these options aren't that great. But the following week is definitely useful.
Okay, I bring up the fixture for those
Yeah,
striker. This one.
yeah. So for and then let's say Cunha directly split for JSL. Now I do have a thing for Wolves, but I'm not sure how good JCSL will be without Cunha. So but obviously we all brought him in Cunha because game week 29 they play Southampton, so that's the
Yep.
matchup that we all
Yep.
want to exploit. Unfortunately, that hasn't happened. So uh, JSL isn't even listed here, I guess. But sorry, I brought it up anyway. But then Chris Wood, of course, Chris Wood. It looks not so easy, but game week 29 they do play Ipswich. Definitely past the point. The question is, do you still want to bring him in now against against Manchester City? Now there are plenty of arguments saying why not. It's Wood can score against anyone. It's
Yep.
known, and it's not like Liverpool. It's not like City's defense is that great either. It's definitely not what it used to be. So that's something we need to figure out there. And arguably Wissa looks decent against Villa, against Bournemouth. So Villa, of course, they have some distractions of the FA Cup and the Champions League, and they did win in the Champions League. So we do know that historically, after the Champions League, Villa suck. So I don't know whether that is still going to be the case now for the elimination stages, but I think it's definitely worth taking a punt on Wissa. So at the moment, Beto, I don't like the fixtures after because after Wolves and West Ham they play Liverpool, Arsenal, Forest. So if you are not looking to wildcard in game week 30, then you should be ruling out Beto for the long term. It's just not viable. Gakpo, we don't know what his status is, whether he will play. Mateta, we're still waiting on him, but obviously we're not going to bring him in now. And Haaland only works if you have the funds, which at this point, I don't know if people do.
Yep. Agree. So just look at those fixture and the potential striker here. I reckon FPL is here mentioning about some punt here, which we can also discuss. I think the fixture is important when pretty much we're still unsure whether we're going to wildcard in 30, right? Potentially we could carry this player up to 30 and then wildcard in 31 and 32. So those fixture, the next 5 fixture could play an important role when deciding these players. Maybe I just make a case for Chris Wood. Like you mentioned, man, fixture proof, regardless. He has Man City at home this week, at home against City, which is maybe on paper not so attractive, but Forest has been really good in terms of performance, and Chris Wood will definitely be on the attacking returns. Then the crucial one, 29, it switch away. And if let's say you can't afford Haaland, then maybe Wood could be potentially your captain that week. I just want to say that. And then if they say you start with Chris Wood at home game Manchester United, we know Manchester United form has been dreadful, definitely dreadful recently. So potentially Chris Wood can be excellent there. And then Villa, Everton, if you still start with him. But if let's say we're talking about Man City fixture, Forest, then Brighton at home 29, and then Leicester 30th. So if let's say you're getting in Haaland, I think late Riser they mentioned, get him now if you can, despite playing away to Forest. Okay, I'm not sure whether I agree on that. But Brighton and Leicester will be excellent. And if you can't afford Haaland, someone like Mr. Mamush, like Brandon did mention, could potentially, if you can't afford the 40 million guy, you could go the 7 million striker, despite he might not yet complete 90 minutes, if I'm right. Around 70 minutes, and maybe there's some competition in KDB. So talk about those two players first, man.
Who? Haaland and Mamush?
Haaland, Mamush.
Okay. Yeah. Firstly, I think I made a mistake earlier when I said that City play Ipswich in game week 30. So City play Leicester, but the argument applies anyway. So it's a case of whether or not City, how much City are going to trash and who's going to be responsible for the trashing. So the thing with Mamush, of course, he's a lot more cheaper than Haaland, almost half the price. But of course, he doesn't have penalties,
Okay.
which is always going to be possible against teams like Leicester, in terms of conceding penalties. It's fun with this Manchester City Forest matchup that I'm guessing. I think I'm saying that Chris Wood not a bad idea, but Mamush, I'm not so sure. Simply because Forest defense, historically this season, Forest defense has been better, and that's why I'm very hesitant. Even though but the thing is, if you are not going to free hit in game week 29, then definitely if you're going to plan to play game week 30 and without a wild card, then you are probably looking to bring Haaland in, to find a way to bring him in. So it does depend. If you have multiple transfers, then I guess it shouldn't be a problem. But otherwise, you really have to look at ways to bring him in, because I think if it's game week 29 and then you have game week 30, by then it'll be a bit too late to bring in Haaland. It might be, in terms of, there may be other injuries that you have to handle. So personally, I'm not going to, I doubt I'll be going for Haaland
Okay.
because of the price. And just now we were mentioning how the free hitters will almost definitely bring in Haaland. But the problem with that strategy is that if you free hit it for Haaland in game week 29, what do you do in game week 30 where you won't have Haaland? So will you wildcard from there? And I think that is an option that some people are looking at doing, free hitting in game week 29 and wildcarding in game week 30. So and doing that also allows you to also possibly keep Salah at a cheaper at the current discount that you have him without hurting too much. Yeah. Because at game week 29, you may sell other players, but Salah you might want to keep on the bench so you can still have him for game week 30.
Fair. Like I've mentioned, thinking about bring Haaland this game week or wait until 20, it will be a tricky one, because if let's say you want to bring him in, you have money in terms of at Salah and Palmer having against Leicester. If you want some fun, you definitely want to get rid one of those players to fund Haaland. So it will be tricky, definitely bringing him in this week. And the fixture is away to Forest, which is, I think, can be tough. So
Yep.
I just want to talk a bit on other option. We did mention about Visa. Visa also, people are looking at potentially a replacement for Mateta or even Cunha. And I think I said also still uncertain in terms of how his fitness will be. I think it will be something that we're looking forward to, what Eddie Howe mentioned about ISET situation this weekend, because remember, they also need to be careful on ISET because they have Carabao Cup final that they have to prioritize that, definitely the potential a silverware for Newcastle. So Brentford, mate, if let's say you want to bring in Visa this week, Villa at home, maybe it can be a nice fixture. But then after that, away to Bournemouth, then away to Newcastle, if we start with Visa, I'm not sure, because Bournemouth and Newcastle is pretty much a tough team also, and they're playing at home. You did mention about Everton, maybe nice, Wolves and West Ham, but then they have Liverpool at 30th. But how about Bournemouth, man? Evanison, like he played in FA Cup, maybe he's still not fully fit in terms of playing 90 minutes. But then they have Brentford at home, and then he switched at 30th. Potentially he could be an option, and just see whether he played the full minutes against Spurs this week.
Yeah, so the problem with Bournemouth is that the last few weeks have been rather disappointing for those who brought in after they had those hot multiple goals, and then people bring them in and they haven't returned so much. So now the fact of wanting to bring in an additional Bournemouth attacking player, and the thing is, sharing minutes is always not so attractive. Yeah, but you have to admit that the fixtures look tasty. They do look decent. Yeah, so I'm just worried with Evan Nilsson, he'll still be managed slowly, and the fact that Dango proved that he can play in that role means definitely they're gonna end up sharing a lot more minutes than they did before Evan Nilsson got injured.
All right.
But no doubt it's attractive. So for those who want to take a punt on that, Spurs, Brentford, it's Ipswich at home. Brentford, Ipswich at home are pretty awesome. But then West Ham not so great for me, and then you have against Fulham. So, but to be fair, at least Bournemouth assets are relatively cheap, so it's not, you don't feel the pain so much. Yeah.
Okay, fair. I think another one we did mention Strand Larsen, both fixture,
Yep.
Everton at home, Southampton, and then West Ham. And Rakat FPL you mentioned Cunha to Larsen could be a straightforward move potentially, but we are not sure without Cunha how Wolves will perform, right? I think that's the danger.
I think that I mean I follow Wolves quite a bit. I've been watching and then listening on forums as it's seeing because I have a thing for the Wolves at the moment. And I think that GSL can do well.
Okay.
Maybe yeah, I mean he won't have the same role as Cunha, but one day at least he's a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
GSL is a lot cheaper. So he doesn't have that burden. And they will have to adjust the play a bit. I think someone like Sarabia might take more of a, if he returns to side, he may take more of a lead. And and but the problem is if Sarabia is around, then I doubt JSL will be taking penalties either that will fall to Sarabia.
Yeah. Yeah. Agree. And last but not least, Brighton player João Pedro, Fulham at home. Yes, but tough than City away than Villa. So someone like João Pedro, if you have him, maybe you hold, but buying him, go back to João
No.
Pedro, buying him.
Um, no. You don't have Pedro. It's hard. Brighton are so unpredictable. But and truth be told, if I didn't have Pedro, I might even look at Welbeck instead. But yeah, it's hard. It's hard. I'm not keen,
Right, man.
especially.
Yeah. Can we just summarize top three forward replacement for the likes of Cunha? If you have Mateta, if you're talking about replacement, I said, what is your top three, man?
My top three at the moment, I guess it would be uh Wissa,
Okay, we
Chris
start.
Wood, and JSL. Yeah.
Okay, right. Yeah, I think that it's going to be hard. But I think I'm going to name Chris Wood first because I know we just can leave him there despite fixture proof thing. Then next, it's going to be tough. I think I might not be able to afford Haaland, okay, but Mamush is someone that I'm looking forward to if they say maybe it could be a punt for that two fixture Brighton and Leicester. And then maybe Visa. I think Visa is someone that we can trust playing 90 minutes despite
Yes.
fixture right now.
Yeah. Wissa is just the 90-minute, almost guaranteed kind of thing. And Chris Wood he doesn't always get 90, but he's very effective. Even though I know because I'm not worried about his minutes either because he is definitely the main man for Forest. But Mamush will run that risk in terms of the minutes issue.
Fair. Brandon mentioned his top three: Wood, Omar Mamush, and Evanessa. Interesting.
Yeah, the thing is, Evan Nilsson. Oh, okay, he did play in the FA Cup, and they did win. So yeah.
We shall see how Bournemouth play this week. If let's say Evanessa pop up with the brace, I'm pretty sure next week, game week 2029, people are looking at him. All right. Good stuff in terms of discussion on forward replacement. Let's go on the fixture for this week 28. Some good matches we can see here. All deadline will be on Saturday, at least at 7 p.m. if I'm right, Malaysian time. Forest and City will kick off game week 28. It'll be interesting. Forest, if he can win against City or keeping a clean sheet against City, definitely they are. Can we say they are definitely in the European place? I feel I want to say that, but I'm not sure. But they are having a great season. And then at 11 p.m. Malaysian time, Brighton versus Fulham. Interesting match for both teams. They are eyeing for Europe places. Palace against Ipswich, money ball game. People who has Mateta are wishing he's playing this week, but he might not be. So Palace versus Ipswich, you have the likes of Munoz. You can play him against Ipswich. Then Liverpool versus Hampton, another money ball game. People are definitely hoping that Liverpool will not rotate players against Southampton. And then midnight, Brentford versus Villa. Both teams also on form. Villa has been getting a great result in midweek championship against Club Brugge. Wolves versus Everton. And then Chelsea versus Leicester, another Moneyball game. You want to go for Palmer captaincy. Captaincy we touch later. And then Spurs versus Bournemouth. I think that will be a 50-50 game. Because Spurs also has Spurs lost to City last week. Okay. And then United versus Arsenal. After that, midweek Arsenal thrashing PSV. And this, I don't know, man. This match could be on the Arsenal side. And then we close off with West Ham versus Newcastle, who has one eye to the Carabao Cup final. So, what interests you in Gameweek 20 FX?
Well, definitely the all the matches against the promoted sides: Palace, Ipswich, Liverpool, Southampton, Chelsea, Leicester. And I think the best way to approach this is to, rather than worried about missing out if you don't have any Chelsea other than Palmer against Leicester, or not enough players. What's the number of players you have? So even if you don't have anyone against Ipswich, for example, but if you have more than, you've got 4 or 5 players for Liverpool or Chelsea, then I think that works well. The other problem with Ipswich is, of course, without Mateta, are they going to overrun Ipswich? So it's not so great for those who don't mind bringing in a Palace player, whether they have enough free hits to, they have enough transfers to take them out again for the game week 29, or they plan to use the free hit. Yeah, because at the moment, if just now we didn't discuss Mateta's replacement, Nketiah, who did come on and do well in the FA Cup match, and so we don't know Nketiah would merit a mention for FPL managers to pick him against Ipswich. So anyway, coming back to the fact, all those promoted teams matchups are all very, very lovely to see. Of course, the question mark, which has been discussed throughout this week, and especially after the results of the PSG Liverpool match, whether or not what type of squad is Liverpool gonna field against Southampton? So my argument is that the league hasn't been won. I don't think they can afford to take the Southampton match for granted and assume that, we can field the weakened team and we win. Southampton can score goals, and you don't want this to be, randomly upset. And, even a draw would be devastating for Liverpool. So I do think that Liverpool will pull up a good squad. Okay, Rakapia asked, so here's my prediction. At the back four, assuming Tsimikas is there, then Tsimikas comes in for Robertson. Everyone else stays the same. In midfield, Jones comes in for Gravenberch. I thought Gravenberch was exhausted midweek against PSG. McAllister and Zoboslai should maintain. No, not Jones. Jones. Yeah, Jones or Enzo to replace Gravenberch. But McAllister and Zoboslai to continue, crazy people that they are. Then you have Salah. Yes, I do think Salah will start. So the question is, who's going to play up? Who's going to be a part of the trio? During the PSG match, it was Diaz and Jota.
Jota, right?
Jota was up front, but Jota was not effective. He was hard, but he wasn't able to do much. But to be fair, the entire Liverpool attack weren't able to do much. Darwin came on as a sub, and then after that, Elliot came on, and the subs combined to score the one goal in the smash and grab. And I do think that Darwin is going to be given a chance here. So it'll be Darwin up front, and most likely Diaz on the left. Yeah, Diaz was substituted as well in the PSG match. So I think that Darwin will be up front and Diaz on the left. So that's my predicted 11, Rakan FPL. Thanks for the question.
Interesting. Azmin, I confidently say about Liverpool Southampton, but I did discover it, Azmin offline, that I am looking forward at pressure against Slot, and we shall see what he say, and then after that we can confidently say what kind of lineup Liverpool uh, team will have. All right. Uh, talk a bit about captaincy. I know people are going for Salah, but we just talk about potentially if there is any alternative you want to go against the odds. So Salah is predicted to score 9.8 based on Fantasy Football Hub prediction tools. Okay, and then Palmer at second 7.7 against they play Leicester. Isaac away to West Ham 6.8. Haaland for us, right? 6.2. And Nkuku, someone that people are thinking, but Late Riser has him in his team again, Leicester potentially, but I feel people will go for Palmer first again. But he is in the top five. Salah all the way, man.
So the results of PSG and the fact that Salah was ineffective has raised concern as to whether or not Salah is going to be benched, which I don't think he will be. But his minutes will be managed. If Liverpool are winning comfortably around the 50 plus mark, I can see Salah being taken off. Yeah, he will start. But if we winning comfortably, then they'll take him off early. Okay, so I don't think there's any issue there. So this whole Salah Palmer thing is also because Palmer blanked last week and Salah unfortunately didn't do well either. He just got an assist. So if Salah had trashed Leicester, then you could argue that we won't even be discussing this. It would be Salah all the way this week. But because Salah didn't score a lot either, and Palmer did, so it becomes a question of where do we go from there. So Palmer has become an option again. So I made a mistake. It was Salah didn't play Leicester last week. They played Newcastle.
Newcastle.
Yeah, sorry, my bad. I admit that I'm looking at Palmer at the moment. I just feel that Chelsea's win last week is gonna give them some bit more push. And even though Palmer had a bad day at the office, I think part of it was just bad luck. And I can, but Chelsea do have the Conference League playing tonight, and Palmer is registered to play for the elimination stages. If he scores a goal this tomorrow morning or tonight, for depending on the time zone, I can definitely confirm that I'll be playing Palmer as captain. So I'm going to rule out Isaac because I do worry that, okay, he plays the last match against West Ham Newcastle, which is really annoying for Newcastle because that means they will have effectively 2 days less rest and time to prepare compared to Liverpool, who play on Saturday night before the Carabao Cup. So I would rule out Isaac totally as a captain. I wouldn't be surprised if he even ends up on the sub bench and only comes in if he's really needed, given the injury issues. We know that Newcastle have lost Lewis Hall to injury, for example, which really hurts. They've lost Gordon because he's got this. He won't be playing in this match and the Carabao Cup as well. So they're gonna have to be careful with that. I wouldn't pick up Haaland as the captaincy, not yet. Yeah, you need to see more. And you're gonna need balls of steels to captain Nkunku, I mean, you've got Palmer versus Nkunku. Palmer is definitely at least, if penalty he's taken. So if you look, most of you have Palmer, I think. But I think there were some who had already sold Palmer a few weeks back. But if you have Palmer and then you bring in Nkunku, are you really captaining Nkunku over Palmer? That makes no sense to me. Because I just feel that Palmer is involved in many things. Sure, he got unlucky last week, but his involvement was still there. Yeah. And the chances are still there. I'm not sure Nkunku will be that same worth. So I would rule out totally Nkunku as a captaincy either as well.
All right. Good stuff. We shall see how we feel during the weekend when we want to
Saturday, yeah.
All right. Let's go and talk about our team selection, Min. I'll go to my team first. I have 1.1 million in the bank and 2 free transfer. At the juncture, I'm going to captain Salah, but I'm still open to we shall see. And my team will line up like this: Sales in goal. I don't have any other option. At home against City, play Kirkers away to Spurs, Gabriel, and then Robinson, I suppose. Okay, maybe people will argue maybe Michaelenko should get a start in my team away to Wolves, but I think I just want to play Robinson and Juncture. Palmer, Mbomo, Salah, and then Kluivert, who scored 10 points a week, really nice. I said hopefully he will be fit. Wood and Cunha is someone that I need to replace. We haven't talked about Roger's situation or Villa. I mean, they are comfortably win 3-1 away, and they will play at home next week. How will Villa line up this weekend is also potentially they rotate players. I think Rogers played 90 minutes, and then they have Asensio has been in good form. Rashford potentially could they rested Rogers? I think that's another question that I will ask. But if not, maybe Rogers can come in for Cunha and he stays in my team. But if let's say Isaac is out and Cunha also will be suspended, I might need to make to force a move for that striker, and Visa could come in for this week against Villa, who might have his focus on the Champions League. What do you think, man?
Well, I don't think you have any worry about Rogers not starting. I think he's comfortably starting. Day 1, 3-1 away to Club Brugge.
Yeah.
So the return match, there'll be the return match there at home. So so no more traveling issues. So I really don't see Rogers being benched. Maybe change your formation, Rogers Asensio around, but Rogers should still play. I just laugh at the fact you have Kirkes and Cunha there because Kirkes and Cunha, it was the two of them who got involved in that.
Yeah, bergaduh.
Yeah. I know you could potentially. I mean, I'm looking at your team and thinking it's a potential role,
Yeah.
Kluivert and Kirkes against Spurs is good, and then you got Robinson. We mentioned offline that Robinson somehow Fulham's currently have the third highest best XGC in the league, which was quite amazing when you think about it. Yeah. The risk, of course, is Isaac, but you do have Rogers and Michaelenko there who can come in easily. There's no issues there. Personally, I think Isaac will be benched for this match. So I'm worried there. I kind of expect him to be benched. But if given choice, you should probably still field him.
Okay, fair. Brandon did suggest to me change Rogers to Sa and roll, but Sa blank gave it 29, which I don't want. So I'm not sure I'm going to do that, Brandon.
Wait, currently you have 2 Liverpool players and Rogers, right?
I have only Salah because I have transferred out TAA.
Oh yeah. So you're not in a bad position. You technically speaking, you can, but then I wouldn't transfer Rogers who blanks to another person who blanks. I'd rather look at getting rid of Cunha if I was going to do a transfer. Yeah. So
I think he is certain to suspended, right? Because I heard like Wolves is appealing, but I'm not sure whether that counts.
I've never even bothered that. Come on, he's out for. I don't know what they're appealing, less, maybe shorter time, because he's definitely gonna be suspended. So
okay, all right, fair. Let's go to your team, man. So it's not moving. Yes, your team here. Is it 0.9 million in the bank, 1 free transfer?
Yeah, I think so. So for me, it's a case of shuffling around, and I'm looking to roll actually. Yeah. So Isaac and Cunha are there. So Cunha will. I'm not so fussed about losing value in Cunha, so I can afford to keep him even though he was going to be on the bench. So Guardiol just comes up easily, and
Ooh.
I will probably bench out Nuri because I feel that Everton will score. Wolves. I'm still tracking Agbadu, the Wolves defender who was centre back, who was brought in January, because if he doesn't play, then Everton have a better chance at scoring. Everton haven't not scored, if I remember correctly, since David Moyes came in. They've scored pretty much every game, I think. Yeah, so which also means, yeah, so if I'm going to bench out Inuri, Guardiola comes in. So for Cunha, so this is the question of whether I put Pedro or Robinson in. So who do I trust? So that if I put Robinson in, then it'll be a 4-5-1. Yeah. So now I need to decide on whether to play Pedro or Robinson. Yeah.
I think you play Pedro. I always play attacker and just bench Cunha, and then just play the rest of your team. Whether you want to play Robinson, Guardiola, Nuri, you really have options. That all I can see.
Yeah. Then the Cells versus Flecken, both are playing at home, but I'm too. I don't know. We'll see. This might be a coin toss. I'm too scared of City at the moment. They look good, but Forest, they did hold Arsenal to draw. Although Arsenal didn't have any strikers, but still, we know Forest defense is still there. Hey, Brendan. Yeah, lah, I brought Flecken in a few weeks back. Okay, so this is my first. Last week was my 2 weeks ago was my first time owning Flecken, so it's quite a new
Yeah.
experience for me. Give me a break.
You get him at the right time, which is nice because Trevor are keeping clean sheet now. Compared to last time that I had him like no clean sheet and just expecting only save point.
Yeah, a
Okay.
clean sheet and an extra save point. So yeah.
All right. Nice. It mean your team. You think about that. How it will be. Let's take some question. I can see some question here that
Yeah.
we can
Okay.
also address. Yeah, Bisa or Wood, who will be your priority to get in?
Wood
Okay.
for
Yep.
me.
Okay. Nkuku or Pedro Neto? Azmi had Neto, but Nkuku scored the one bonus point. I think Neto is a better choice because he's playing opposition, and I can sense some greediness in Neto. Whenever he has chance, he will try to score goal. That's what I think.
I'm not answering this because since I already have Neto, so I'm going to say Neto anyway. So yeah.
Okay. This maybe for you, Min. You did mention about Cells and Flicker. I think you play Flicker, right?
I haven't decided this. It's a tough one. Flecken, probably Flecken.
I think this is a nice question when to consider of not using a free hit in 29. How many players that you should consider and not free hitting, right? Is 8 or 9 players now? I think so. If you got the key players, what do you think, man?
I think 9 is your magic number. I think 8 with a hit is even 8 with a hit is already too much. So 9 with a hit is still okay, but 8 with a hit, then it's stretching it.
Right. In Kentia, good punt for this week, replacing Mateta, but he blanked 29. But if you just concentrate on 28, he could be a good punt against at home against Ipswich, right?
Speaking as one of the rare breed who has owned Nketiah for 5 weeks this season, yeah, it's a good punt. I think I saw enough promise in his outing when he replaced Mateta to show that he's got some confidence right now. So yeah, I think it is.
Right. Mamush can cover Haaland. Haaland on penalty. He has returned in the past 6. But Mamush has scored a hat-trick in one of the game against Newcastle. So he has potential. But what do you think, man? If let's say you can't afford
No.
Haaland, would you go for Mamush?
My answer is that no, Mamush can't cover Haaland. So, but for the price, you should get whatever his price is, whatever the returns are for his price. So if Alan scores 14 and Mamush scores 7 or 8, that should be good enough. Because the concept is that your funds are spent elsewhere where they are gaining the points there as well. So the answer is no, but you shouldn't have to cover.
Okay, last question from Brandon. Your differential pick for this game week or the next 3 game weeks. So we can say 28, 29 blank game week and 30th before people are wildcarding in 31. Maybe that's potentially what he's asking. What do you think, man?
Yeah, you're just trying to nit with me on this, Brandon. Welbeck.
Only Min can do that. Yeah. Yup, your answer.
Actually, to be honest, JSL, I know he's been talked about a lot, but I don't think there's any real serious discussion of him being as a serious option. Simply because they feel Wolves are worse without Cunha. But I think JSL could be a really good sleeper pick because his spot is confirmed to the next 3 game weeks because Cunha definitely isn't playing, so you'll no issues of the starting spot. So except Welbeck, I'm going to say JSL. Okay, so / Welbeck, JSL.
Right, JSL.
He will be a differential pick. Yeah.
JSL at only owned by 1.2% manager. Really nice if you go there and just want to point out, Evanison only owned by 0.7% manager, not even 1%. So if you're thinking,
but that's because he's been injured. So that's the thing. And his starting status is still an issue with Tango.
Yeah. All right. I think I kind of agree with that lesson, but whether without Cunha Wolves can perform, I think it is still a question. That what people are talking about and move away from lesson. But he could be the one. Okay, I think that's all question for this week, Min. So can we wrap up your last word?
Good luck, everyone. Don't be hastily making transfers, or you really do need to plan. We went to this crunch part of the season where fixtures change, and having chips is going to be very useful. So you need to plan your transfers around those chips. Good luck. Also, you need to decide. You probably, I don't know during this break, but hopefully everyone has also taken the time to figure out where they plan to finish at the end of the season, what's their target, and be realistic about it. Yeah, so that's it.
All right. Thank you guys for joining. Do hit the like button and subscribe to our FPL Jedi YouTube channel and continue to support us. Until then, take care and see you again. Bye-bye.
Bye.